Otherwise, it's boring, right? We do stuff live. That's more exciting because things can go wrong. And that is what makes it exciting. Today, and I'm really happy to follow up on the previous. Will it come back? Okay, I will follow up on the previous presentation where you saw the integration of wallets in the EDC connector to comply to the European standards for credential exchange. Shall I connect again? Entire screen. Signal is going out now. Ah, perfect. Good. And that was very technical, but the good thing is we are converging all in the same direction to the standards that will be used across Europe. And this demonstration will go in the same direction. Why? It will make onboarding to data spaces dramatically easier and faster, and I will show how Gaia-X participant credentials can be used for identity and access management in practice today, based on open source, which we always use here. So, short primer. The onboarding application I'm going to demonstrate is available. You can use it to get onboarded to Gaia-X, receive your Gaia-X participant credential in minutes after we approved your identity there, and off you go. And that's fully free. After you have done that, you will be directly able to use the entire ecosystem for consumption and for publication across our data space, just for free, to get you started quick, to start developing your use case. But now, let's dive into the onboarding application. If you know it from the past, if you want to integrate Gaia-X identities in your ecosystem, in the registry of your ecosystem, because you don't want unknown actors, you want everybody to be nicely identified according to Gaia-X, we had an old registry. We just put all the identities here and added the Gaia-X credentials to it so that you can check the Gaia-X compliance of the participants. That's a given. Some of you might know the process, which involved, for example, the Gaia-X Wizard, where you compiled all those credentials. That was a bit cumbersome and needed automation. Now that's totally being transformed. How this process looks now, and I will zoom out just a little bit, is you just head to the onboarding application, create an account for your organization, you add the legal name, you add your address, everything that is required for the Gaia-X LOA participant credentials. You add your registration numbers, the EORI, the VAT ID, or the LIKE code, which is globally recognized, which is why we use it. You add your private key to it. You undergo verification. Then we will approve it if the data you entered checks out with the national and international registers for your organization. And then you will be onboarded. 2 to 5 minutes, depends on your typing speed. Right? What will be the outcome of that? And that's the interesting part. Without deploying anything on your infrastructure, oh, I have been locked out. Let me see if the connection, that's the challenge of the live demo. Oh, give me internet, please. Yeah, here we go. Signing in. Okay, we are back. Yeah, I'm doing everything live. What you get as a result of this very simple procedure, and I need to zoom out a little bit, you get all your Gaia-X LOA participant credentials, you can verify your information here, and they are hosted very easy and conveniently in our database, and you can publicly retrieve them. That includes the legal person credential, the registration number credential, here we use the LI, you can verify directly against the LI interface of the GLIVE, and the issuer credential, which is the terms and conditions credential under the latest version. So that was easy. You don't need to deploy anything, and you have your first Gaia-X identity created within just minutes. What can you now do after the onboarding? You can go into the ecosystem, can consume services. I just will pull up one. That's one of the older ones from the Sense project here. And what we already had in the past is the real-time verification of Gaia-X service credentials. But that's nothing new. We had that since years. The exciting new part you can do now after the onboarding, you can use your credentials and import them in, again, a Vault ID wallet, which is available. And bring your own wallet, just host your own instance, and in your wallet you have all those credentials available to perform participant authentication against now more and more data spaces which support the standard. So I can look up the credential, I can see all the details, it's nicely stored in my wallet, next to my DID and keys if I have my own sovereign wallet. But what's the value of this? Now, with the next version of Ocean Enterprise we released here, we can now leverage these credentials for access management. Here I have a new data set which has specific rules implemented that leverage the OpenID Connect for Verifiable Presentation flow and request verification against the clearinghouse and request very specific credentials. Let me quickly walk you through the access rules I have put into this document. And for that, we have established a very nice wizard that allows you to customize those access rules according to your preferences and business case. So I'm editing the metadata here, and now we can walk through the SSI policies based on Gaia-X credentials. I request the legal person credential. Why? Because I want, for example, to ask if the participant is coming from Germany. I would like to highlight, while we support VCJWT here, which is the format in Gaia-X, we also support MDoc and SDJWT to be aligned with the European Digital Identity, which are the upcoming mandatory standards. So this is future-proofed. I also request the terms and conditions credential because I want to make sure the participant is a Gaia-X participant and signed up to the terms and conditions. And I request the VIT ID, LICode, and AORI. Why all three? Because as a service provider, I don't know which registration number you used when you entered Gaia-X. So I ask for all of them, but, and that's important, while two are mandatory, you only need to provide at least one of those. Because I don't know what my consumer will bring, I make that optional. And to make sure I'm using a clearinghouse here, you can also, for your service, specify which clearinghouse you want to use, because they might have different performance level, different reliability, or you only trust the clearinghouse specific for your service offering or your data space or your domain. You have all degrees of freedom and put this into your business logic for your service offering. So now we come back to the onboarding. You can customize this fully for each of your services. And if I now want to access a service, it's pretty simple. I got the credentials, and now I'm handed a presentation request, and I can answer with the credentials I have in my wallet, just as that, and they will be compiled into the verifiable presentation, sent to the clearinghouses, sent to the backend verifier and the policy server. Let me select my DID in real time, and after this verification, which failed this morning but will work now, succeeds, I have access to the data. Pretty easy. For that, we introduced two new components, and for the EDC infrastructure, it will be very similar as we have seen. Let me jump to the complicated and more technical slide here at the end of the presentation. You see here the SSI verifier has been introduced and the policy server communicating with the wallet. And the good part is you can bring your own wallet, you can bring your own credentials, your own keys, and all of this code is available free open source in the repositories right now, not to be released soon. It's available today, and you can happily use it, fork it, to drive your business applications and join the ecosystem. And that said, I'm ending the presentation. Everything is there for you.
Great, so happy to be here. It's a no-brainer for us as an open source foundation to be in this open source software session for Gaia-X, and we are happily supporting all the activities that we are doing in this respect, as we were seeing on the previous session. One thing we can do for supporting is, as Christoph and Julian were saying, now this version of the compatibility with EDC is a fork from the MVD, but we will be happy also to support you in the best way to integrate it as a new project, as an extension for EDC. And the other thing we can do to help you out in this respect is promotion. So this is what I will be talking about here. So we want this to be known, we want this to be used. So at the end of the day, that's our mission, that everything that we are doing under the umbrella of the Eclipse Foundation is ultimately adopted by the community. And this is what we do precisely on OSS, which is our main event yearly. So I will be presenting you with what you will see in OSS, hopefully having our colleagues from Gaia-X that already presented some presentations for consideration on the program. So hopefully we will have you there. And why we think it's relevant for data spaces. So I will skip part of the presentation and I will go directly to the program. So it's the main event we celebrate every year, and it is bringing together adopters and real users of open source. So this is precisely what we need. So we are here discussing a lot of different projects that are coming from different verticals, and in this conference what we will have is users and adopters of different verticals, different technologies, but everybody in open source. So it's a unique opportunity to bridge this gap between those who are here that are talking about strategy requirements and these kind of things with the ones that are really implementing the code. And I was, as you can see, I highlighted two of the tracks that we will have in OSS. The first one, I will be detailing it a little bit later, which is Open Community for AI, and we will have a specific track on data spaces. The other one is Open Community for Research. I know we have here representatives of a number of European funded projects, so it's also a good spot for everybody to be presenting their projects there. And especially, as we were saying, on the OSS for Artificial Intelligence, we are hosting a track which is specifically on data sharing and data spaces, and if you see on the items that are described, it is looking really like what we are discussing here. Federation, trust frameworks, how to govern data spaces. So I encourage you to have a look at OSS. If you are interested in these topics, it would be a great event for you because you will discover state-of-the-art technologies, real technologies that are being used in the open source domain for this. So I will move back to the working group, which is the things that we are doing, and I just wanted to highlight two things that we are doing. So at the end of the day, we are an open source foundation, and we are running this working group in order to achieve two things. Those are the two things you can see here. The gray part is standardization. So we are standardizing the data space protocol, the centralized claims protocol, the conformity assessment and credential profile. You saw it on Ulrich's presentation yesterday. It's a profile that we are standardizing based on the conformity part of the trust framework, and we will be hopefully moving it into ISO-IC standardization in 2026. And the lower part, which is the purple one, which is adoption. So those are our two key things to be provided as outcomes from the Eclipse Data Spaces Working Group. So you can see, we will deliver concrete actionable items, protocols to be standardized, and code using those protocols. And that is why I'm so happy that, as you can see, our flagship implementation is EDC, that we are converging what we are doing at Gaia-X level together with what we are doing with this other group of people, reusing and coexisting with standards and with something which is moving into a common roadmap of interoperability, avoiding fragmentation, and this kind of thing. So that's great to see this happening, and I hope we can follow on the same path. And last but not least, we usually get this question about, it's difficult to understand when I should be more active in Gaia-X, when I should be more active in the working group, why we should join such a working group if I am already providing my inputs to Gaia-X. So this is kind of our value proposition, but I will make it very simple for you. If you are interested in code, developments, and adoption, influencing this code, influencing the standards, and so on, you should consider the Eclipse Data Spaces Working Group, because this is precisely what we are doing, trying to provide this so everybody can have these reference open source implementations for data spaces, hopefully grouping together all the inputs that we are receiving, as we were seeing from Gaia-X and many other members. So in case you are interested in code and adoption and development, that's the nice placeholder for you. So happy to discuss it with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Javier. Any questions regarding the open source community? Maybe you get the mic again from the back.
One very quick question. You had there in the last slide something like certify. Do you have to be part of the EDWG to certify, or?
Happy to have this question. It was not prepared, but I'm happy to.
No, it was not prepared.
Yeah. So that's something we would like to discuss as it's on our program plan, as Christoph knows, for 2026, as part of the activities we would love to do. So this certification comes from the idea that we are, at the end of the day, specifying protocols that will be standards. But we will have for each and every protocol, as we mandate from our strategy in our processes, they will have a TCK, so you can check that you are compatible with the data space protocol individually, or the decentralized escalation protocol individually, or the CAP profile individually. But our idea is to try to make what we call a branding and compatibility program, which is based on platform specification. Saying, for instance, we will discuss with you, with Christoph, with Ulrich, okay, what's the interoperability stack of protocols Gaia-X would require for the ecosystem? And we will compose it, I don't know, DSP, OpenID Connect, the CAP profile, and whatever else we will need. And that's the idea we want to push forward for 2026, and we will be able to issue certification based on that. For accessing this certification, as we are combining many actors for different ecosystems, it's still up to discussion whether it would be just for participants of the working group. If we articulate something as you need to be Gaia-X members as well, if it is something totally free, and we open it to whoever is willing to do it for a cost, but not dependent on membership of participation. But the idea is there. We want this to be something coherent and consensuated on the ecosystem. We want to make it